in the Tao Te Ching, you know that one of the lines is know the male, but stick to the female. Right. So that's what I'm talking about here. Balancing internal and external, being able to transform and go from yin to yang, right? So, so in the Tao Te Ching, you know the male, but stick to the female, or you have to, so you're able to act, which is the male aspect, yang aspect, right? You know how to act, but you don't get stuck in the action. You always return to the female. You return to the yin. You return to the being receptive. So you yourself, no matter what your gender, you have to embody this kind of feminine aspect, which is being receptive, right? So it doesn't matter what you're doing. At some point, you have to come back to that. You have to come back to the yin. You have to come back to being the receptive of your own feelings and receptive of your partner's feelings. That's the yin, that's the female, that's the softness, right? The receptive aspect, because that's what gives you the information that you need in order to then do something. If you just do something without first the yin aspect, then you're just randomly doing things to somebody who's, frankly, you're not particularly aware of, because your mind is on the doing, not on the receiving, right? That's what this know the male but stick to the female thing is. You have to know, you have to be able to act, but the actions are based on the knowledge, on the awareness. That's the crucial thing, right? Again, going slow is important. The reason we go slowly in Tai Chi is to give us time to feel how the movement evolves, right? Is the posture correct? Are the movements correct? That's what we go slow in Tai Chi. We give ourselves time to receive the information back. Same thing in the bedroom. Go slow, so you give yourself time to feel, to process, right? So it's the same mindset. We're going to go slow on purpose, not just to be slow. The speed should be determined by how much information you can process, right? How receptive you are, essentially. So in order to get all the information, in order to be receptive, it might take a little bit of time, or maybe it's very short. You've done this enough, done enough push hands in Tai Chi that you can be very quick in being receptive. Then the pace can be quicker based on the responses that you're getting from your partner. So there's all of this this communication, which is exactly like in push hands in Tai Chi, right? The pacing is determined by the interaction of the two. You're going as slow as you need in order to get the information. The minute you start kind of speeding up, usually it's to essentially short circuit the process. It's the anxieties that take over. It's the desire to do which take over. And so it's this, oh, I have to achieve this. I have to do this thing, which, as when anybody who does push hands, or that kind of Tai Chi wrestling, knows that the minute you do that, you lose. Because if your partner can just relax more, you're done. Because by being in that mindset, it means that now you've dropped everything else. You've dropped the body awareness. So again, we want to get rid of this kind of goal-oriented aspect. We have, the goal in the end is pleasure, fun, right? That's the desire. So we have to get rid of this idea that there's a goal, that there's something to do. And instead, we just want to get into that cycle. I receive, I'm aware, I act, I receive, I'm aware, I act. That's what we're doing. We just want to stay in that loop for as long as possible, because it's a lot of fun. It's a nice place to be. So we don't want to get to the end. Just want to be in that loop. And eventually, that loop leads to orgasm, hopefully, right? But we don't want to run towards that. We want to stick in that mindset of receiving information, acting on that information, receiving feedback, acting on that feedback, receiving feedback, acting on that feedback, and just staying right there. Body awareness is spread to the whole body. That whole body awareness spreads to our partner. So we're receiving that information and then we act on that. Right? So we're doing this endless loop, endless loop, endless loop, except it's not a loop, it's a spiral. And the endless loop starts to spiral up and up and up and up as essentially the body reacts more and everything becomes more pleasurable. And that's kind of what takes you to the orgasm, right? So, but you want to be in that loop. You don't want to just run towards the end. You want to find that nice spiral, right? It's just like Tai Chi, just like push hands. When you're pushing, you're not thinking about the end, you think about the moment. You're receiving, pushing back, receiving, pushing back, receiving, pushing back. Eventually, naturally, out of the correct responses, somebody wins or somebody has an orgasm. Same thing, right? So we want to be in that mindset. So, final exercise. So if we really take all of that, let's we can start playing a bit more. And there's one thing that tends to block us, is that we actually haven't had the experience of a truly relaxed orgasm. So because orgasm it's an energetic thing as well, right? So what tends to happen is that so we're going up on the spiral that I was just talking about, right? So we're stuck in, well, we're not stuck. We're moving in the circle back and forth, receiving information, acting on it, receiving information, acting on it, right? So it's all very nice. It's all very pleasurable. Like I said, it's a spiral that's slowly going up. It's increasing in intensity until finally there's an orgasm. Usually what happens is, as that intensity increases, the body actually contracts. There's almost a fear of letting go, a fear of this happening. So, right, the breath becomes shallower and shallower, like, oh, and there's tension. So what's the purpose of that tension? Well, what's actually happening is that you're constricting everything and you're preventing the full blossoming of the orgasm is what you're really doing, right? Because by clamping down, you're preventing feelings from happening. So what we want to do is the opposite. It's exactly like in Tai Chi, and the whole purpose of push hands is learning how to relax and be relaxed as somebody's pushing, right? So the intensity is rising up, but you're training yourself to relax. It's for the mind to stay relaxed, the breath to stay relaxed. No matter how fast it's going, how much is moving, the center is still relaxed. We want to do the exact same thing. So what you can do as an exercise, alone or with your partner, is to breathe and relax, and consciously breathe and relax. So as you're going up and up in that spiral of pleasure towards orgasm, instead of constricting the breath, consciously take deep breaths. And what it's going to feel like is that the orgasm is almost going to feel like it's dissipating. But actually what's happening is it's taking more room. You're giving it more room. So now it doesn't feel as tight and intense because there's more room for it to expand. But now this whole, essentially this kind of energy is actually bigger because you've created a bigger container for it. So you keep breathing and breathing and going up and up that spiral of pleasure. And you keep breathing and relaxing. And all you're doing is you're creating a bigger and bigger and bigger container. So the energy within, and this kind of sexual energy that's in it, becomes bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger, until finally, when you do reach an orgasm, right, at the top of that spiral, it's a full body orgasm, right? Because everything else before was constricting it and keeping it in one place. And then what we want to do is open that container till it's the full body. And so when you have that orgasm, it's a completely different orgasm. It's a completely different feeling, because now you're having that feeling in a completely relaxed body that is able to receive all of that instead of squishing it down. So that's an exercise that you can do. And once you experience that and you see how much more pleasure you can have, but also how relaxing it can all be, that there's so much tension that you bring actually in the bedroom that doesn't have to be there. And the tension is actually preventing you from feeling everything, right? So now we can go all the way back. Body awareness, listening, breathing. So you can, once you have that experience, you can go back and go, oh yeah, you can have that or something close to it. all the time. Because all you're going to do is go back to this body awareness, breathing, relaxing, slowing down and relax, slowing down and relax, and make your interior space for pleasure bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger, so that it is filled with this kind of pleasurable, energetic field inside of you, and it becomes bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger. But the only way you can do that is by relaxing. Like I said, to make your internal space broader and wider, so it can receive more pleasure, receive more energy, right? So that's the goal. So that's why you want to have that relaxation, right? It's not a just like, oh, just relax. No, it's actually, it's a core idea. And the breath is a mechanism for the relaxation, right? The listening and paying attention to your partner is a way to get your mind off of anything that might be distracting. So you see how it all actually connects, and you can have now this deep, relaxed experience. You've given your mind, which is always chattering, something to do, so you can relax and just let go, release everything, and allow the pleasure, allow the energies to fill the body, so that the orgasm is a complete full body orgasm. And that's what we should be going for, because it's a lot more fun, frankly. And then that itself becomes an energetic exercise, because for those of you who do have an awareness of the energies flowing, so microcosmic orbit, all that kind of stuff, the orgasm itself can then become a pulse that you can direct up the spine into the brain and out the crown of the head. And that becomes quite an incredible experience, actually. It's not just an orgasm, it's like the rush of energy. So, and all it is you use the skills that you've developed in Qigong or Tai Chi or push hands, right? Where on the exhale, energy goes up the spine. Same thing at the moment of orgasm, exhale, send it up the spine, and you'll just be like fireworks in your brain. So it's quite fun. And also a great energetic exercise. It's a way of making sex part of your practice in that sense.